Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Fatir Hakim Markus. With my name is 19250014.
And my name is Muhammad Abdullah with NEM 19251090.
Today we are discussing about our topic, that is Internet and AI. So enjoy the video and see you in the video. Bye bye. Hello everyone, and welcome to our academic podcast series. Today we are diving deep into the digital infrastructure that connects our entire planet, the internet. I am your host Fatir, and joining me today to dissect this massive topic is Hatar. Welcome to the show, Hatar.
Thank you for having me, Fadir. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. We use the internet constantly, yet very how people actually stop to think about the complete architecture running quietly behind the screen.
Exactly. Most people just open a browser and expect magic to happen. But as student of information system, we know it is far from magic. From an architectural standpoint, how do you feel the internet? To me, it feels like a single entity and more like a massive bridge connecting front end interface with backend database.
That's a brilliant way to phrase it. Let's actually break down the bridge, starting with the side. The user interact with the front end. In the early days, the internet was just walls of plain text and basic HTML. But today, the success of any platform in internet relies heavily on UI and UX, user interface and user experience design principles.
I completely agree. You can have the most powerful server in the world, but if the user experience is terrible, no one will use your site. How do developers ensure a good experience before they even write a single line of code?
It starts with empathy. Developer and designer create empathy maps and user persona to understand exactly what the target audience needs. Let's take the practical example. Imagine you are building a website for a retail business, like a flower shop, you know that?
Yes.
You don't just start coding. You create wireframe to plan the layout. And then coding, you create wireframe to plan the layout. And then you build interactive interface prototype. This always is allows you to simulate how the customer will navigate it from browsing bookware to a final checkout process.
Right. So the front end dictates the journey. But once that customer hits the buy button on our hypothetical flower shop website, the backend has to take over. And that is where the final real heavy lifting of the internet happens, isn't it?
Yeah, precisely. When you interact with a web page, you are often triggering script like those written in the PHP that communicate with the server, but more importantly, those script talk to the database. The internet is essentially a fast global network of database constantly exchanging information.
Okay, let's dive deeper into that database aspect because it requires serious academic rigor. When dealing with complex system, you can just throw data into a folder, right? You need a relational database architecture, right?
Absolutely. Let's move away from the retail example and look at something more administrative, like a messy payroll management system for a corporation. To make the accessible over a secure internet or internet portal, you need a custom multi-table database schema.
I see. So you are mapping out exactly how different data points relate to each other.
Yes, You use entity relationship diagram to map how the employees table connect to attendance table. Entity relationship diagram is like a simply like ERD, it's for schema, and how that calculated data is salary table. The internet acts as the secure highway that always manager in one country to query that relational database hosted a server in another country and retrieve the specific payroll data match code.
It is truly fascinating when you break it down into those layers. From the psychological aspect of user persona on the front end to the rigid, mathematically structure of schema mapping on the back end.
And that is just scratching the surface. We haven't even touched on the security protocol required to keep that data safe.
We might need a whole separate episode just for network security. But for today, I think we have painted a very clear picture of how the modern web operates. Thank you for this incredible insight, Atar,
The pleasure, while all mine, Fadia.
and see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Welcome to the podcast. Everyone, for the second segment, we are switching things up. I am now the host chair. I'm Heather and Farid
Hi everyone.
is stepping into the role of our guest expert. Farid, are you ready for the next topic?
Yes, I am ready. Let's do it.
Okay, we are discussing a topic that is dominating every handle in the TH world right now. Architect intelligence or AI, it seems like everyone is talking about it. But a lot of the conversation is fueled by science fiction. From
Okay.
an academic and data science perspective, what is reality of AI today?
Okay, that is a crucial distinction to make. When the general public hear AI, they often think of conscientious robots. But in reality, modern AI is deeply modeled in data science. It is all about statistic, probability, and processing massive amount of information. At its core, AI was a set of algorithms designed to recognize patterns within datasets that are too large for a human to analyze manually.
So it's less about thinking and more about hyper advanced mathematics and data classification.
Exactly. In fact, identifying business classification problem is one of the most prominent use of AI right now. Business generate terabytes of data daily. AI helps classify that data. For example, is an incoming email spam or not spam? Is a credit card transaction legitimate or is a fraudulent? By feeding historical data into a machine learning model, the AI learns the identifying feature of each class and makes accurate prediction on new unseen data.
That makes a lot of practical sense, but now an EA find patterns if we don't know what we are looking for in the first place. If the data isn't pre-labeled for classification.
So that is where we get into unsupervised learning, specifically cluster analysis. This is a fascinating area. One of the most standard and powerful algorithms we use for this is called k-means clustering.
K-means cluster? That sounds highly technical. Can you walk us through what that actually means in the practice?
Okay, imagine you have a massive spreadsheet containing the purchasing behavior of 100,000 users, but no categories. You want to find out if there are distinct customer groups, You tell the K-means algorithm to find, let's say, 5 distinct clusters. The algorithm calculates the mathematical distance between all these data points and literally and iteratively groups them together based on their similarity.
So in my automatically group together user who buy tech gadget on weekend into one cluster and user who buy office supplies on Monday morning into another.
Precisely. And what is amazing is how accessible doing this has become. As student or data scientist, we don't need supercomputer in our bedroom to run a K-means clustering analysis. We can write our script usually in Python and run them using cloud-based programming notebooks like Google Colab.
Oh, I heard of Google Colab. It allows you to write and execute code directly in your browser, right?
Yes, it gives you access to powerful cloud computing resources. You can import a massive dataset, write the coder to run your clustering algorithm, and immediately generate visual graph of the result right here in the notebook. It makes experimenting with complex AI models highly efficient.
That highlight a really important point.
Mhm.
AI is a tool for human to use. It empower use to understand data better rather than just replacing human effort.
That is the ultimate takeaway. AI, whether it is running simple classification or complex K-means cluster, is designed to augment our decision-making capability. We still need human intuition to interpret those clusters and decide what business strategy to apply to them.
A perfect synthesis. We are moved from the CY myth to the ground reality of data science and cloud computing. Fadil, thank you so much for breaking down this advanced concept to so clearly.
It was a good discussion, Hatta. Thanks for having me in the hot seat.
Thank you, Fadil, for the processor and goodbye everyone and
See you next time.
see you next time.
And that's it for the video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy the video. And I'm sorry if there
Something missing.
something missing and a bad video. And see you next time.
Bye bye.